Hey, Vaughn here. All right, once again, we are streaming. Link in the description. Come follow, come join. We live. Interact. Request what you want me to watch. You know what I mean? We can interact. Live is a lot better. But with that being said, don't worry. I'm still post on YouTube, even if you don't go over there. But we got how long would you survive in the past? Looking at my skin tone, not long. So, with that being said, we're going to hop straight into this. If you're new, like, comment, subscribe. If you're not new, you just keep coming back. Subscriber, what are you doing? Let's get into it.
You in 2023 Ouch. Versus the past.
Honestly, bro, I feel like I can kill a saber tooth.
Thanks to the technological advances of the modern age, in 2023, life is pretty safe. In the past, however, many of the things we take for granted now were likely a death sentence for our ancestors. Amputations. In 2023, if you need to get an amputation, then it's usually a fairly safe procedure and performed by highly skilled surgeons. Pumped with anesthesia and put to sleep, an amputee nowadays never has to witness their own dismemberment. But from the first recorded amputation 31,000 years ago in Borneo until the early 20th century, if you had a serious infection or injury that required amputation, the experience was brutally different. With perhaps only a little opium or alcohol to slightly numb the excruciating pain, a typical procedure in the 17th century would start with the patient being
y'all gonna have to kill me. You're gonna have to kill me, bro. I'm not, no.
Fully awake. What followed was a wrestling match between the surgeon's helpers and the patient, as the individual was grappled onto the bed and desperately told to keep still. The surgeon began by making 2 deep incisions with a sharp knife, upon which the patient started to scream in agony. Then another knife was used to cut down the flesh until it reached the periosteum layer, the membranous tissue that covers the bone. This was scraped off in preparation for the most traumatic stage of the operation. Making sure to have a spare on hand in case it broke, an implement was next used to saw off the bone, with the man tasked with handling the limb focusing on holding it steady in order to stop it from snapping completely off.
I couldn't do it, bro.
Once the bone was fully dismembered, the stump was either cauterized or stitched up. If the surgical procedure didn't kill you, the bacteria from unwashed, rusty instruments usually caused an accompanying infection that would...
So there's no point. Y'all killing me regardless. If I keep this infected leg, I'm gonna die, right? But if y'all cut it off, I'm gonna die with infection to these rusty ass tools.
Finish you off afterwards.
That's the point.
Vaccinations. In 2023, the perfection of the vaccination process has helped protect us from nasty pathogens and ghastly diseases. But in the past, early misguided attempts to inoculate against awful sickness often had disastrous consequences. During the American Civil War, although Union and Confederate soldiers fought to the death, they did have one common enemy. According to the most recent estimates, disease killed 2 out of every 3 combatants, with smallpox being among the most lethal maladies and reportedly leading to the deaths of 40% of Union soldiers who contracted it. The most common method by which doctors procured vaccinations was to infect small children with
That's crazy though, like if you was to get something like smallpox today, it's like if you had diarrhea back then, it's like you might as well get your wheel. It's over. Like, that is crazy.
Cowpox, a closely related and less dangerous form of smallpox.
They just cut his man.
Small children with cowpox, a closely related
what the fuck?
and less dangerous form of smallpox.
Start stabbing
fluid
his
from
little
a
boy
developing
arm.
cowpox pustule and then directly inject it into the bloodstream of a soldier.
Are they cutting it off? The pox
Widespread vaccination, however, was impossible because of the scarcity of doctors who knew how to carry out this delicate procedure, with 1 doctor for every 324 Confederate soldiers and every 133 Union troops. As a result, combatants began to inoculate themselves using rusty pocket knives and nails to make self-inflicted wounds before piercing a comrade's pustule and coating their gash with the fluids that seeped out. Such a method did more harm than good, for as well as catching any infections from the unsterilized points they had stabbed themselves with, many soldiers mistook the smallpox carbuncles that they hoped would safeguard them from syphilis blisters, accidentally contaminating themselves with an illness which, left untreated, could lead to paralysis, blindness, heart...
Bro, it's like nothing you could do back then could help. It's like we got it's no knowledge. You ain't got no knowledge to survive. So it's like, what's the point?
disease, and death. Travel. In 2023, we have the luxury of traveling incredibly long distances in a very short amount of time.
We learned about this yesterday on stream. The first person, it was like a joke. It was a Family Guy. I think I probably done posted it by now. It was a Family Guy funny moment. And he made a joke like they had to be on crack back then. Like, cause I ain't gonna lie, you have to snore one and then just think. Imagine we could fly like that. That is some crackhead shit, bro.
Comfort. But in the past, if you wanted to do the same thing, you might not survive the journey or even the destination. Today, excluding stopovers, it takes an average of 20 hours to travel from Edinburgh Airport to Panama and return. But for a group of intrepid Scottish adventurers at the end of the 17th century, this same journey was a lot longer and a lot less pleasant. In 1693, after establishing the Company of Scotland trading to Africa and the Indies, successful businessman William Patterson proposed that the Scottish should colonize the Isthmus of Panama and set up a trading post. Envisioning that their nation could financially benefit by becoming intermediaries of Atlantic and Pacific trade, 1,200 Scots dreaming of a better life on distant shores set sail from Leith Harbor in Edinburgh on July 12, 1690.
Did ships really look like this, though? I'm pretty sure they did.
Arriving at the Bay of Darien in November 1698, many on board had already died or were already sick by the time the group had disembarked. 7 months later, tropical diseases had killed 400 of the colonists, while the rest of the expeditionary force were stricken with yellow fever and were so weak they could barely move. With the fate of the first wave unknown, a second voyage was sent out, and by the time it reached the cursed settlement, 160 people had already succumbed to illness en route. The new arrivals quickly realized they had stumbled into a nightmare, and soon 16 people a day were dying. The remnants were rescued 4 months later, but the journey home would also prove fatal, with shipwrecks and disease killing a further 340 survivors. By the end, only one ship
really just
returned
sound like
to Leith.
sickness, bro. That's your
2,000
biggest.
people had perished.
That's your biggest thing,
Winter.
like.
For most of us in
Oh,
2023 who live in warm and insulated homes, winter is a season of only mild discomfort. While those enchanted by snowy landscapes or Christmas merrymaking even consider it the best season of all. In the past, though, winter was definitely everyone's least favorite time. For the majority of our
my least
ancestors,
favorite time
the
now.
festive period was instead
Get dark
symbolically
early.
associated with
Ain't nobody
old
out
age,
'cause it's
poverty,
cold.
and death, who also had the misfortune to experience winters that were often colder and
It's a
longer.
depressing time.
One such occasion was the volcanic winter of 536, when average temperatures dropped by as much as 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit because of a cloud of volcanic ash that darkened the skies for 18 months. In what is generally regarded by historians and scientists alike as the worst year to be alive on record, these unusual climatic conditions, which ushered in widespread global crop failures, caused it to snow in China during summer and created, according to the Roman scholar Cassiodorus, a winter without storms, spring without mildness, and a summer without heat. It's been attributed to the 6th century eruption of a volcano called Ilopango, located in El Salvador, which expelled 10.5 cubic miles of dense rock. This cataclysm was thankfully a one-off event, but for the people of the Middle Ages, global cooling was far more prolonged.
Mobile games are going big with Google Play Games. Experience more ways to play.
The result of a decrease in sunspot activity or further volcanic eruptions, the Little Ice Age lasted from 1300 to 1850 and saw global average temperatures plummet again by as much as 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit. In parts of Scandinavia and Switzerland, villages and farms were wiped out by advancing ice glaciers, and in the 17th century, blizzards were recorded as far south as Florida on some occasions. In addition, the 1709 Great Winter in Europe was so cold that thousands of the poorest people died in their sleep of hypothermia, while Paris was completely cut off by snow for 3 months, forcing some people to feast on frozen corpses to survive. Beauty. In 2023, applying cosmetics usually isn't too life-threatening, since they're required by law to go through a strict safety assessment before being allowed to hit the shelves. In the past, however, beauty products often...
Okay, this is confirming people back then were chopped. Like imagine makeup back then. Like cosmetics is killing bitches. Like girls can go from a 2 to a -2. Like ain't no upgrade. If you a 2 back then, you put on makeup, you going to a -2 because it's not gonna help. And bro, hold on, you should be able to Google that. Makeup and what the fuck is this? Why the fuck is James Charles here? You can't tell me if this ain't James Charles. But bro, this is what makeup look like. Nah, we need that makeup back in the day, like 1700s. Man, these hoes look like pains. Ain't no way. Like, say what you want about the copy and paste Latinas and all these hoes look the same. I'd rather deal with them than these hoes back then. No, sir.
Didn't cut short many lives. From as far back as 3500 BC, makeup lined with toxic chemicals such as lead was commonly used by women from all eras of history to whiten their skin, most famously by Queen Elizabeth I. Although prized for its face-smoothing qualities, lead makeup had the unfortunate side effect of making the user uglier as time went on, causing gray hair, dried-out skin, severe abdominal pain, and constipation. But when society cottoned on
Imagine putting on makeup make you constipated. What?
to the fact that lead was dangerous, an even more poisonous ingredient was found to replace it. Skin whitening products were next made out of arsenic, a chemical that kills red blood cells to create a paler complexion, and which was often nibbled on throughout the day in the form of a wafer. Women who chowed down on it gave themselves a variety of ailments such as nervous system damage, kidney damage, and baldness, which were often the precursors to an agonizing death. In the more enlightened 20th century, fashionistas were still permanently damaging themselves. Among the deadliest fads involved being exposed to X-rays for up to 20 hours in order to remove unwanted hair. Although an effective treatment, patients would later have to deal with a raft of unwanted consequences, including skin thickening, atrophy, ulcerations, baldness, and ultimately, cancer. So, count yourself lucky that you live in 2023.
We still dying from cancer now. I can imagine back then. Yeah, bro, it seemed like there's no way you're surviving back then. It's like anything can kill you. Products, seasons, even things that's supposed to help you, medicine. It was like they were just experimenting, man. Let's see if this worked. He died. Bring in the next one, bro. Let's see if this one works. Like, god damn, you just guinea pigs at that point. Bro, the average lifespan had to be 30 back then. Cause I swear back then, like 15-year-olds was going crazy. Cause like once you hit 15, you basically damn near dead, which is crazy. Ain't that crazy? Like, bro, back then 15 was like 80 years old now. Like, you halfway dead, bro. Like, so you better start popping off these babies. Now it's like if you 15 with kids, you are a disgrace. You're a failure. You know what I mean? Crazy how times change, man. But that's gonna do it. Come join the stream. Link in the description, like I said. If you enjoyed, subscribe. Oh, don't worry. Still post these clips on YouTube, even if you don't come to the stream. But with that being said, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.